Welcome back to Legion List Building Episode 3. I hope everybody had a fantastic time with our Rogue One list build in Episode 2. Today we're going to be covering the Separatist Alliance. They are a bit of a different faction in Star Wars Legion in how they're built, and I think you'll find that their general list building is a little bit different. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. We are presently on Legion HQ, as always, and we're going to go ahead and click on Separatist, because that's what we are working on today. So, Separatists have some... Well, let's hit the commander slot real quick here. And I'm going to talk about these units a little bit as a whole, because before we start building this list, because Separatists are a little bit different. And we'll go through exactly why that is as we go through everything. So presently, Separatists have 3 commander options to lead their army. There's 4. There's a 4th, which we'll get into in a second. But it's worth noting that 3 of those 4 are extremely expensive, and 1 is extremely cheap. The first one we're going to look at is our man Count Dooku, and Count Dooku is the Count, right? And I think is he 205 still? I think he's 200 now. Yeah. So his unit card has been errated. This is now 200 points. He's got Cunning, which allows you to win any command card ties you have as long as you're playing a Count Dooku card. Which basically means that his 1 pip, unless you're playing against another character that has Cunning, or Han, who has Sorry About the Mess, always gets to go first. He's got Deflect, pretty standard on a Jedi, Immune Pierce, Makashi Mastery, which is a really cool and unique ability. As we go through these like Republic era Jedi, you'll find that most of them have masteries on them, and it enhances their Force user powers in some way. Dooku's, since he's a duelist, that's kind of what he's known for. His allows you to subtract 1 from your pierce value to take away immune pierce from enemy Force users, basically. There are other things that are immune pierce in Legion, but that is like generally what it's there for. So he can pierce other Force users, which is literally, I think, the only ability in the game that allows you to do that. He's got Master of the Force 2. He's one of very few people that have a 2 in the Master of the Force slot, so that's pretty awesome. He's got 3 Force upgrades, a command slot. He's got his lightsaber attack here, as well as his range 2 lightning attack, which is a very important part of his kit. Pretty standard stuff in the health, courage, and surge to crit columns. 6-3, surge to crit, red defense, all pretty standard for a Jedi. Yeah, Dooku's command cards are also amazing. His first one is Fear, Surprise, Intimidation, gives him Arsenal 2 and Relentless, and all of his ranged weapons gain Versatile. And what that means is that, and after he performs an attack, each defender gains 2 suppression tokens. So you can do some pretty crazy stuff with Fear, Surprise, and Intimidation. Basically, he gets to use both of those weapon profiles we just looked at on his card. Very, very powerful. He also gains Relentless. It's worth noting that Dooku's unit card does not contain the words Charge or Relentless. So unlike other Jedi, he really has to think about kind of like what he's doing in advance. He's actually got to move an attack as opposed to getting those attacks for free unless you're playing Fear, Surprise, and Intimidation. We have Double the Fall, which is his 2 pip. Count Dooku basically can kick his order token back into the bag to remove 2 enemy order tokens that are face up and return theirs to the order pool. This is often good because Separatists generally have almost their entire army face up order tokens on the board, and we're going to go over how to design your list to make sure that you take advantage of that in just a second. So basically, Dooku will be the only thing in your bag, so you can like just immediately draw him anyways. There's not really a ton of negative downside to Double the Fall. We've got You Disappoint Me over here, which I will pull up on the screen since you can't really see it over there in the corner. This gives Count Dooku a dodge token and anyone else that he orders a dodge token. And then whenever he performs a ranged attack, he can basically force push that unit at speed 2 as opposed to speed 1. Incredibly powerful ability, very good with his Force Lightning attack. Yeah, it's excellent. Just all around excellent. Dooku's command cards are great. So that's Count Dooku. Let's take a look at General Grievous, who is the first commander for the Separatist Alliance. I'm sure if you are a Separatist player, you are very familiar with Grievous's kit. He's got Arsenal 2, which is notable because he's got 2 lightsabers that you can use. He's got Block, which is just kind of like a downgraded version of Deflect. It won't damage opponents with surge results. It just gives you surge block. Impervious instead of Immune Pierce. Notable. He gains Jedi Hunter, so he normally does not surge offensively, but he will surge to crit when he's attacking somebody with a Force upgrade icon. He has Relentless, which means he can get a free melee or a free range attack when he finishes a move. That's a very important part of General Grievous. And he has Scale, which is less good than Jump, for sure, I think most of the time. There are situations where it probably is better than Jump, but they're few and far between. Scale allows you to take a free clamber action at the beginning or end of a move, and it also allows you to ignore difficult terrain. So this is, General Grievous climbing up the walls and all that fun stuff. Unlike Count Dooku, his courage and health are a little bit different. He's got 8 health and 2 courage, which, he's a little bit of a coward, and he has a ton of health because he's a monster. So there are pros and cons to both. He's got 2 command slots, 1 training slot, and he has a gun slot, which is kind of mandatory. We can take a look at that right now. It's the DT-57 Annihilator pistol. It is a range 1 to 2 gun with critical 1, pierce 1, and versatile. So he can shoot it out of combat with versatile. And this just kind of allows you to do some like peekaboo, move, shoot, move back into cover or line of sight blocking terrain before Grievous really gets in the mix. And Grievous's command cards are, frankly, he's got 1 great command card and then 2 command cards, which I think are a little bit more meh. He's got Trained in Your Jedi Arts, which is basically a big spin attack. He just attacks everything at range 1 of him. It's very powerful. It doesn't have Pierce. And against high save units, it often is just a bunch of suppression tokens, but often that's enough because it is suppressive, so it's like dumping 2 suppression tokens on everything around him. Very powerful. Supreme Commander is his 2-pip. He gains 1 surge token for each other friendly trooper unit at range 1, and while other friendly trooper units have face-up order tokens, they gave Guardian 2 and can use Guardian during a melee attack. Supreme Commander works with how Separatist Core Unit, B1 specifically, work with face-up order tokens. Basically, this gives your army Guardian 2. Definitely powerful. I find it difficult to use well. And his last card is Crush Them. Basically, it just gives 3 units surge tokens equal to the amount of defeated enemy units that are on the battlefield. This is kind of just assault with a bonus, and a lot of times it's hard to like trigger it well, or you're kind of like it's a little bit of a win more. So that card's not great, but that is General Grievous. Our last commander that you can take that isn't kind of unique is the T-Series Tactical Droid. This is, I think, the newest commander available to the Separatists. It's either this or the Field Commander, which we'll talk about in a minute. And this is a guy you can take multiples of, so you can take 2 of them if you want. He's got Bolster 2, which allows you to hand out surge tokens to units around him. He's got direct core droid trooper unit, and this is like basically entourage without the allowing you to take an additional unit. So you basically at the beginning of every command phase, you're like, here, unit within range 1 to 2 of me, have an order. It's very powerful with how their B1 coordinate chain works, which again we'll get to in a second. He's got Sharpshooter 1. His gun is okay. It's red 1, range 3, 4 health, but he doesn't surge defensively, so he's kind of paper. Courage 2, command upgrade, comms upgrade, gear upgrade. Big thing here is he's 55 points. You'll note that Dooku and Grievous are both they're 200 and 170 respectively right now. So there's about a 120 point gap, 115 point gap, I guess, between the T-Series tactical droid and the next cheapest option here. So let's take a look at the fourth option, and that is an AAT Trade Federation battle tank with a field commandered T-Series tactical droid pilot. So basically, for 175 points, you can take the tank for 170 points, and for an extra 5 points, you can make it your commander. Very powerful ability, very great if you're taking an AAT and you don't want any of the previous commanders. I think this is a great option. You don't get any specific command cards. It's the same as the generic command cards you would have available to you as Separatists. So you're kind of losing out a little bit there because the command cards on Dooku and Grievous are pretty good. But the AAT is also probably the second best heavy in the game right now behind, I think, the Saber tank. So those are your options for commanders. Today we are going to build, we're going to build kind of the core of a Separatist list and then decide what we want to fill it out with. So we're going to start with the T-Series tactical droid. I am of the opinion that the T-Series tactical droid is, as a one of, very close to mandatory in most competitive like Legion lists right now. The T-Series tactical droid is very good. I highly recommend, if you haven't gotten a personnel pack, pick one up. They're extremely good. For right now, we're gonna not give him any upgrades or anything, and we're gonna shift over to the core. So there are two core options in your Separatist armies: the B1 battle droids and the B2 super battle droids. So there's a couple things to note here. B1 battle droids, so they both have AI attack, which means if they don't have an order, the first thing they have to do every turn is attack if able. This seems, maybe when you're reading it, not like a big deal, but if it triggers during the game, often it can really, really hurt you. So because of that, we need to get face-up orders on these units almost always. So just looking at their unit cards, you'll see that the B1 battle droids have coordinate droid trooper, and the B2 super battle droids do not. What this means is that when you give one B1 battle droid trooper an order, it basically gives the next one an order, which gives the next one an order, which gives the next one an order. And because we've got a T-Series tactical droid that issues an order to one of them for free, we can basically make sure, if we've only got B1 battle droids in our list, that all of our core units have face-up orders on them the whole time. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a bunch of B1 battle droids to start filling out this list. The B1 battle droids have 4 different heavy weapon slots. There's the E5C, which is 3 black dice at range 3 and 18 points. The E5S, which is range 1 to 4, red-white, critical 1 for 20 points. So for 2 points, you're kind of lowering your damage ceiling, increasing your range, and kind of making it so that pot shots get through a little easier. We've got a rocket trooper here at 20 points at range 4, red, black, black. It exhausts and has impact too. for the points cost, this is actually a very cheap and efficient source of impact. It's notable that you have to exhaust the weapon to use it. And the last option here is the Radiation Cannon Trooper, which is range 2, 2 red dice, and it has poison 1, which means if you deal a wound to your target, it gains a poison token, and basically as long as it's not another droid trooper, it will take another damage at the end of its next activation. So, I think of these 4 options, the only one that's like you probably should try not to take is the Radiation Trooper. The range 2 on it, frankly, B1 droids tend to die quickly, so getting to range 2 with them is not a thing you want to be actively trying to do. Right now, we're not going to worry about dealing with armor skews. So we're going to cross the E60R B1 Trooper out, and we're going to take a look at both the E5s. So I personally prefer the E5C. It is cheap. It is efficient. It brings the cost of the squad up to 54. For a trooper unit with a heavy weapon in it for 54 points, that's pretty cheap. You can bump it up to 56 if you take the E5S. What I don't like about the E5S is that if, for whatever reason, AI does activate, the E5S is a little bit of a liability if you're at range 4. It's a little bit niche, but something to be aware of. So I'm going to take the E5C, and we can look at the other slots here, though I think for the most part we're going to leave them kind of open. The generic, so looking at the personnel slot, the B1 battle droid itself is 5 points to add a, so this unit is, the generic B1s have 6 dudes in them, so plus the heavy is 7, so it's already a pretty beefy unit. We can add an 8th mini to it if we add any of these things in, and the cheapest way to do that is for 5 points, which, isn't terrible. I think at the end of this, if we have a bunch of points left over, just spewing a bunch of extra battle droids into our list isn't the worst thing we could do. The EV series medical droid here is their medbot. It's worth noting that it does not heal droid troopers. So unlike other armies, the medbot can heal people like Dooku, it can heal people like Grievous, it can heal people like Maul, but you can't heal any of your droids. So it's a little bit limited in that capacity. Like, you can't repair your sniper teams with the medical bot. So you kind of have to pick and choose. If the only way we'd take a medical bot if we're taking something with a lightsaber, pretty much. The next option here is our series battle droid. Basically, it allows you to bump your coordinate range up to range 2 instead of range 1. And he's a leader, so he becomes the leader of the squad. It's 9 points. It's okay. This is bumping it to range 2 is generally not necessary. So I would tend to leave this guy at home as well. The PK series worker droid is the next up. He's their repair guy. So he can repair all of the regular dudes in their army, but he can't repair the cool heroes. But he can repair vehicles. And if you're running like vehicles in a Separatist army, I would highly recommend taking a PK series worker droid. They're 12 points. They can heal all of your core units if that comes up. So that's flexible, but they also can keep your AAT or your STAPs or your droidecas alive. So they're very good. They're pretty points efficient. Highly recommend them. We're gonna leave that one off. We're gonna leave all of these off the table for now, but we're just gonna go through them. The next one is the B1 security droid. When you activate, you lose AI attack until the end of this activation. It exhausts to gain that ability. So basically, it's like 2 points more than the generic B1 body, and you can like tap it to, if you didn't get an order this turn. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. I wouldn't recommend it. The T-Series Tactical Droid is up next. Its range 1 to 3 adds a red die, so instead of adding the white die that the B1s normally would get, you would get a red die. You lose AI attack, like period. You gain reliable 1, so B1s don't surge in either direction, so you gain a surge token. That's pretty good. And he becomes your leader mini. T-Series tactical droids are pretty good in B2 units, not so great in B1 units. So I wouldn't tell you to put this in your B1 unit, but it definitely an option for B2 units, because dropping the AI attack, adding a red dice at range 3, and gaining reliable is a pretty big deal. There is also a Viper Recon droid here, range 1 to 2, 2 white dice. Gives you action observed 2. If this was a free action, I think it would be worth it. As an action, basically it's sort of like taking the aim action and then selecting another, but allowing anybody in your army to use it, which is definitely like powerful. But I don't aim that often with my B1s, and rerolling B1 dice is generally not great. So you kind of have to have, I think, something to do with this, like specifically. So we're gonna leave that one at home too. So we're gonna leave that blank. Their comm slot. Integrated comms antenna. During the command phase, you can be issued orders by friendly commander or operative units at range 1 to 4. 3 points. Interesting. Generally doesn't come up a lot, especially when you have a T-Series TAC droid. Generally, they're kind of stapled together. Comms jammer. This is a good thing that we'll look at. It allows you to basically, enemy units within range 1 of you can only issue orders to themselves. It is a good unit for Separatists to take, just not on B1s. There's a comms relay here, which I have basically, it's kind of like coordinate plus when you would be issued, well, sort of coordinate plus. You can take the order that you would get and you would hand it off to somebody else at range 2. And it doesn't matter what rank they are. So I've seen people use this to do some weird like back and forth order shenanigans in Separatist armies. We're probably not going to use this today, but it is an option you should be aware of. HQ uplink here, 10 points, exhaust, just straight up gives you an order to yourself. Before the T-Series tactical droid was a thing, basically every Separatist army had HQ uplinks on 1 or 2 B1 battle droid squads. The T-Series tactical droid kind of makes it so you don't need it anymore, so we're not going to take it. Long range comlink. During the command phase, you can be issued orders by a friendly commander or operative unit, regardless of range. It's 5 points. If you're planning on like putting your commander or operative like far away, maybe that's a thing you consider, but we've got a T-Series tactical droid, so it's not a big deal. The last thing is a gear slot, and the only things they can take are electro binoculars and portable scanners, because there's literally a clause on there that says B1 battle droids can take them. I don't think you should really be messing around with either of these. I do see like if you've got a Jedi in your list, taking a portable scanner on a B1 unit to like hand them dodge tokens for deflect. And when I say Jedi, I mean Sith, but you know what I mean. Dude with deflect. And so portable scanner, maybe. Electro binoculars, probably not worth it. So we're going to just keep our B1s at the E5C, and that's really the long-winded way of telling you why. And we're just going to like immediately put 5 of them in the list. And you'll note that we have 6 units in our army, 6 activations, and we are at 325 points right now, which is pretty good. It is pretty good. And I think moving forward, I'd also like to add a B2 unit here. So the way that this is going to work is that the T-Series unit is going to give an order to the first B1 battle droid, and then they're going to just give orders to each other, and then the last B1 battle droid is going to drop an order off on this super battle droid squad that we're going to put in here. And he's not going to have to worry about AI attack because of that. So B2's got a pretty hefty points cut, I believe. They used to be 48 points. They're now 45 points, and their heavy weapons got cut 2 points respectively. So they both got significantly cheaper. This B2 battle droid has 2 options for the gun. We've got triple red at range 2. Or double red white exhaust with blast, cycle, and impact 2. The B2 Haw Trooper, which is the one that fires with blast and cycle and impact, you should take if you have the points. It is really good, and that's what we're gonna do here. So we're gonna take the B2 Haw Trooper. Now, if you as a Separatist player didn't want to play B1 battle droids and wanted to play B2s instead, I would recommend taking your B2s with T-Series tactical droids. In this list, we are handing our B2 an order every turn with the T-Series tactical droid B1 battle droid chain. So we don't need the T-Series tactical droid. So we're going to just keep our B2 unit a little bit more lean. And we're going to kind of forego it. So we're just going to take a standard B2 unit with a heavy upgrade, and that's it. We don't need any comms upgrades. And if we wanted to like add an extra dude to our B2 unit as we go through list building here, we can. But right now we're going to kind of leave it blank. So we've got 7 activations. We're at 400 points. And this is where kind of the benefits of playing Separatists start to kind of show, right? Like most competitive lists are only playing with 10 activations. And we've already got 7 good ones, and we have half our points left. So let's look at some of our options. We already looked at the characters Dooku and Grievous. So there are 2 other characters that we can choose from, Cad Bane and Maul. Cad Bane he's kind of unique in Legion. He doesn't do anything that, like, nobody does what he does, and he doesn't do what other people do. I think maybe the closest equivalent is like Boba. But Cad Bane has steady, so he can kind of do some like move, steady, move back shenanigans. It kind of is weird. His command cards are all pretty good, but they're hard to use, and he kind of ends up getting stuck out in the wind a lot. Maul is a cheap force user that is pretty good because you can pretty much make sure he's always got an order, and the rest of your list like has very good order control behind it. As opposed to Dooku, he's like 40 points cheaper, so you can kind of take his lightsaber is also 4 red, 4 white. So the ceiling on the lightsaber is a lot higher, which is kind of a big deal. Maul's very good. Our other options here were Droidekas and Staps. Staps are basically speeder bikes, except better because they have coordinate droid trooper on them or vehicles, so they can do the droid chain deal. We've also got Droidekas here. Droidekas got a 20-point bump, but I think it's tough to justify Droidekas instead of Staps generally, just because Staps are so good. And in their heavy slot, they've got the AAT Trade Federation battle tank. We talked a little bit about that earlier with the field commander option. It's very good. It's a great centerpiece. It really allows you to kind of just blow your enemy off the table from range 4. Very good piece as long as you've got the stuff to back it up. They've got 2 special forces options, basically. They only because one of them is a strike team, and their special forces options are snipers and saboteur mines, just like Empire and Republic. Their saboteurs, however, have poison mines, but like hit kind of rarely, so it's a little bit difficult to get them to stick. It's worth noting that the BX series droid commandos in the full squad are probably one of the only full squad of strike team-esque units that is really worth taking in the game. They've got some interesting upgrades. So I would like a character in this list, and pretty much that means we're taking Dooku, Grievous, Cad, Bane, or Maul, because we've already got a commander. We can kind of choose which one we want. I am sort of partial to Count Dooku. I think he's very good, and I love his command cards. So we're going to take Count Dooku, and we're just going to load... Well, we'll talk about command cards later, actually. He's got 3 force slots and 1 command slot. And let's just go through what we're going to do with that real quick. So the first upgrade, he's got a lightsaber. He is a force user, which means we are going to put force push on him. Force Push is an extremely flexible, extremely versatile card. It really is it's the best force power in the game, and it's not particularly close. I'm going to take it on everybody except Palpatine. And if you want, you could take it on Palpatine. It's just like not mandatory on him. But on everybody else, it should be, because they're going to be in melee. Force Push is just amazing. The next force power we're going to take a look at here is actually going to be Force Barrier. It is 10 points. And it says, while another friendly trooper unit at range 1 is defending against a ranged attack during the modified attack dice step, cancel either 1 crit or up to 2 hit results. So Dooku has Master of the Force 2, which means we can like regenerate multiple powers each turn. Force Barrier basically allows us to negate somewhere between 6 and 12 hits over the course of the game because of that. And because our units have like paper thin saves, the damage that goes through would often be wounds. So Force Barrier is just like taking hits off the table. It's really incredible. So we're going to take Force Barrier. And then the last thing we have to pick from here is probably between Force Choke, Force Reflexes, and Saber Throw. I prefer on Dooku to take Force Reflexes, because often there's like a turn where he's got to really like cross some open ground. This gives him a dodge token. It's another thing that he can like regenerate with Master of the Force. So Force Reflexes it is. You'll notice he's up to 225 points. Pretty expensive, but pretty worth it. The last thing that slot on here that we have to talk about is the command slot. Dooku is going to be the one issuing our command orders, if at all possible. And what that means is we're going to take aggressive tactics, because it's really good for Separatists. And it says during the command phase, if you are nominated, which will be nominating Dooku the most, after issuing orders, choose up to 4 friendly units with face-up borrow tokens. Each chosen unit gains 1 search token. So, basically it allows us to dump 4 surge tokens onto our droids and Dooku each turn in order to ensure that they are surging. So we'll take aggressive tactics. Dooku's up to 240 points. We're up to 8 activations. We have 160 points left. Because of how many points we have left, 160, and we really need to at least get 2 more activations into this list, it kind of takes heavy units off the table. It also takes operative units off the table and support units, because, well, I guess we could take a support unit technically, but we're going to actually move to the Special Forces slot, just because I'm going to take a cheap BX series droid commandos and take one with a sniper rifle so that we get a cheap 50-point activation. It's worth noting that the BX sniper rifle is 2 red dice, range 5 with lethal, not pierce. It does not have high velocity against units with good saves or shared dodge tokens. This is often just going to put a suppression down, but if you can catch them without dodge tokens or whatever, and you're able to take an aim action, you can potentially put in a piercing shot. These guys are really just here as a cheap activation and kind of just a team that can the BX battle droids can scale up and down stuff, which is really kind of crazy good, and they've got Scout 3. They're very flexible units. To that end, I would like to take a unit of BX series droid commandos in the full squad as well. And before we put a heavy weapon on there, I'd like to talk about their armament slot. They can take deflector shields, which have shielded 2 and recharge 2. So basically they have 2 shields, and every time they recover they gain them back. Or they can take vibro swords, which give them red and white dice and charge in melee. The vibro swords are crazy good, so I'm going to take some vibro swords because I'm all about that life. And what we're going to do here is we're also going to put a sniper in the squad, which brings us to 794 points. And the comms, can we pay for a comms jammer? We totally can. So 5 points for comms jammer is 794. It brings us 7099 rather. The BX series droid commandos with the comms jammer unit is actually a unit that Snyder played in Invader League. It's very scary. He did not play it with the extra sniper, so he cut 30 points out of the unit. I sort of like just the ability to kind of flex a little bit there. So I'm going to take the sniper. I don't think you have to if you want to keep that unit lean and mean. It's only 79 points as opposed to 109 points if you do that. Worth noting that this list right now does not have a bid. I actually don't think that this list specifically needs a bid. If you're playing Staps or something like that, I suggest you bring a bid. Basically those lists would like cut Dooku for triple Staps or something like that. Like just to see what something like that might look like, we'll cut Dooku out of this list real quick and go to the support slot. We would basically put a couple Stap riders with like LTAs and another Stap rider with link targeting array gives you target 1, so every time they get an order, you would get an aim token. And then you would, I think the other one that they put on these guys is long range comm link, so that you can always give them an order. And you'll notice our bid here is 7 points. We've got 12 activations. This is sort of how you start building like a 13 activation stat list. They clearly cut the expensive BX series commandos a lot of the time, or the sniper to like basically up the activation count and do some other stuff. They're not going to take B2s either. So in any case, we're going to cut those staps and we're going to put Dooku back in our list because Dooku is fun. And there's our aggressive tactics. So this is the list we have. The T-Series tactical droid doesn't really need upgrades because he's just going to be chilling in the back, giving our B1 battle droids orders. Great. Our super battle droids here basically are getting the other thing here is we can decide to basically take the end of the B1 chain and either give an order to our BX series full squad or our B2s or our sniper team, frankly. And all of these units have AI, so kind of making sure that which one gets an order is a little bit important. Taking a look at our command options, in the 1-pip slot, we have Ambush, Fear, Surprise, Intimidation, and Mechanized Incursion. We already talked about Fear, Surprise, Intimidation. It is amazing. It is the best of these 3 by far. We are taking it. Mechanized Incursion says after a friendly vehicle unit is issued an order, choose a friendly droid trooper unit at range 1 to 2 and issue that unit in order. We don't have any vehicles, so we're not going to take it. We're going to take Ambush. We then have the option of Push, Double the Fall, and Orbital Strike for our 2 pips. So Double the Fall is very good. It's Dooku's card. We already talked about it. We're just going to take it because it's amazing. So the options here are between Push and Orbital Strike. Orbital Strike says once this round, at the end of the activation of a friendly commander droid trooper unit or friendly field commander unit, it may perform an attack using the following weapon: 4 to infinity, red, red, black, black, suppressive, and immune deflect. Basically, it's a maximum firepower that comes off the T-Series tactical droid. It's worth noting that this says commander or heavy unit. The unit that you give this order to does not need to be the unit firing the attack. So we can still have Dooku order the orders from Orbital Strike and have the T-Series blast something. So this is going to allow us to keep aggressive tactics on. It's going to allow us to still blast something with the T-Series and keep an order on Dooku while the T-Series directs the rest of our unit chain. So we're going to take Orbital Strike. And then our last 3 options here are Assault, You Disappoint Me, and Roger, Roger. You Disappoint Me is Uber Force Push off Dooku's ranged attack and hands out a bunch of dodge tokens. It's a no-brainer. And then it's Assault versus Roger, Roger. If we were not playing Dooku, I would say we would take Roger, Roger because it gives a bunch of dodge tokens or surge tokens out to our droids. However, I don't love it because I always want to have orders on Dooku. I suppose... Well, it's actually not that bad now that I'm thinking about it, because basically Roger Roger allows us to we would chain the B1s and then chain off to like the super battle droids. So there's 6 orders, and then there's 3 orders left over. We give 1 to the T series, 1 to the BX, 1 to the BX series droid commandos, and the only thing left in our bag is Count Dooku. So I actually think in this particular list, Roger Roger's fine. So we can take Roger Roger here, and that's our command hand. We will quickly go through our objective deck and stuff. A breakthrough, not great. We don't really have fast units. Intercept the transmissions. That's a pretty neutral objective that this unit list will be good at, so we'll take that. Key positions, always great for Jedi because they can throw people off the point at the end of the game, so that's a great take. Hostage, so bombing run and payload are kind of off the table in my mind. Bombing run, if you don't have speeders, it's just kind of bad. Payload is something you want to be playing when you're can move and engage the enemy. And while this list can definitely move and engage, it kind of wants to be able to sit behind line of sight blockers or heavy cover. Payload doesn't always allow you to do that, so that doesn't sound great to me. Hostage exchange, however, does sound great to me because we can like put our hostage on our B2 unit and then try and pull it back while Dooku goes and hunts theirs. So I'm going to take hostage exchange. And the last objective we're going to take is sabotage the moisture evaporators, just because if you're playing your battle deck, that means you're blue. This list is pretty great at sabotage because it's a gunline list with Dooku. That's kind of the list that wants this objective. So we'll take sabotage the moisture evaporators. For deployments, it is worth noting that droids really like to be going down the long end of the table, which really makes deployments like rollout and long march really excellent. So that's where we're going to start here. So we're going to take long march and rollout. It just makes keeping your chain together very easy. We don't really like things like battle lines. So in that vein, we're also going to take advanced positions just because it kind of can end up functioning like that. And then the other one we're going to take is major offensive. It allows us to keep our kind of bulk of our army together. So those are our deployments, and then our condition cards for this list. We're going to take fortified positions. This allows us to put barricades down so that our white save lots of health units can basically just stand by heavy cover the whole game. Limited visibility, also great. We do have some like snipers, but most of the lists are gonna do range shooting better than us. So we're just gonna take limited visibility so we can keep our stuff alive the first couple turns. We're also going to take rapid reinforcements so that we can like drop our B2 or drop our BX series droid commandos. And can you actually, it's been a while. Yeah, non-commander, non-operative units. So you can drop your BX series droid commandos somewhere where they can just like vibro sword something the next turn. Very, very good. And then I'm actually going to take supply drop here because I would like the opportunity to like back to Dooku. That's pretty good. So this is our Separatist list. We'll just call it like Dooku's cronies or something. And in our next segment, we'll go ahead and go over kind of the effective health and all that of this list and grade it on all of our metrics. So I hope this was informative, and I will see you in just a sec. All right, so we are going to go ahead and go through our Dooku gunline lists, various attributes, and how it lines up in contrast to the other lists we've built. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with order control. Order control for this list I'm going to label as a 5 of 5. And basically, just about every Separatist list constructed properly should be about a 5 of 5 on order control. You're always going to have orders on your focus pieces. You're always going to have orders on your core units. It's just they're really strong generally. That's kind of their thing. Basically, like on an assault turn in this army, we basically have orders on everything in the army. We have complete and total order control on everything. So this list is a 5 out of 5. Moving to overall firepower. Our overall firepower for this list adds up to be about 32 and a half damage per turn, which is almost identical to the list that we were talking about last time with our Rogue One themed list. On average, their firepower, if everything is shooting, the lists are quite comparable in how much raw hits they do. It's worth noting that this list is between the B2s and having a lot less range 4 guns is significantly less advantaged in a range situation. But if you have all of your units and they're all firing on all cylinders, the lists are very comparable in ranged firepower. So we're going to give it the same ranking we did last time, 3 out of 5. If we were to get kind of more nitty gritty, this list is probably a little less good than the Rebel list we put together last time, based on the fact that the Rebel list can do more damage at range. Our overall defense for this list is about 81 effective health points, which is 9 more than the Rebel list we put together, and it is 5 less than the Imperial list we put together in the original episode of Legion list building. So this kind of should give you an idea that, like, even though Separatist armies have a lot of B1 bodies, they really are not that much more survivable from a raw wound standpoint than the average army. This definitely gets a little bit more convoluted when you start factoring in things like how many times you have heavy cover and things of that nature. But overall, this list is going to kind of settle in the middle of the two lists that we have talked about already. So the overall defense for this list, we're going to give it a 3 out of 5. It's possible that it might actually be a 2 out of 5. It definitely is in the middle. It's like a 2 or a 3, 2.5 out of 5. It's very average. Our synergy. Our synergy for this list, the only thing synergistic about this list is really the fact that we're taking advantage of the T-Series tactical droids direct, and we're coordinating a bunch in order to populate our order tokens throughout the battlefield. And so because of that, there's really not a ton of other synergy going on here. It is a gunline list. It has got Dooku and a sniper team and some support, but like none of these units are like working terribly well to like in tandem with each other to do something kind of silly. So for synergy, we're going to give this list a 2 out of 5. It's not super synergistic. It doesn't need to be. You've got total activation control, which means you can really have control over your pieces. Our last metric here is swing power. Similar to the swing power of the list that had Vader in it, the swing power of this list, because of Dooku, is also very high. We have the opportunity to go ahead and last first with You Disappoint Me into Fear, Surprise, and Intimidation, which allows us to really do damage and like you basically get 3 attacks and 3 force pushes over the course of 2 turns with Pierce, and you can ignore immune Pierce on his melee swings. It's very strong, it's very strong. So we're going to go ahead and give the swing power here a 4 out of 5 as well. So overall, we're at 5 out of 5 order control, 3 out of 5 firepower, 3 out of 5 defense, 2 out of 5 synergy, and swing power, 4 out of 5. As you can see, our averages for these kind of star numbers here are significantly higher for this list. It just does a lot of things better than the list that we've talked about so far. This is, of the list that we've put together so far, this would be the list that I'm would be most comfortable or confident in if I were to bring it to a tournament, a prime championship, whatever. It's definitely the best probably just like competitive list that we've seen so far. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of looking at the Separatists. This is clearly only one way to build a Separatist list. There's quite a few ways to build all of these factions, and we'll keep going over them. But this is how you do Separatists, one of the ways. And next week, we're going to take a look at Republic, and we're going to... we might do 1 or 2 episodes on Republic, because Republic is kind of in a weird spot as far as like... There's there's a certain type of list that is competitive, and there's a certain type of list that's a little bit less so. So in any case, we'll take a look at that, and I will see you next time. I hope you had a great time, and please give me your thoughts and comments in the comments below on the YouTube page. Appreciate it, and have fun. Oh,